Alright, so previously I had been playing around with mapping and how to apply texture in different ways onto an object, onto a mesh. And one of the things I came up with was having multiple materials even to represent the same pattern. That said, maybe I only want one material. I mean, for a checkerboard pattern like this or something like this is fairly simple. I shouldn't need a bunch of different materials for the most parts. So maybe what I do is I go ahead and I remove the material and try something a little different. I need to be in object mode to make that change. So let's get rid of one of the slots, and now we're back to just having one material applied. And this is, let's say this is what I want. I want this diagonal thing happening all the way around. So what can I do? One thing that I might consider is just creating an image texture that is then applied as I choose on this. I can take that image and then use UV unwrapping to apply the image to the mesh as I wish. So I'm going to come into my shading. I'm on my shading tab, and in the shading area I'm going to do a Shift A, and I will search for an image texture. I will create a new one. I'll just give it a name like, check text, whatever works for you, and create a new image. And then with that selected and making sure that I have the mesh selected, I'm going to come over to my render properties. I'm going to go into cycles, and then I'm going to go down to bake. And under bake, I'm going to switch this to diffuse. I'm going to get rid of the direct and indirect. I don't think that that's going to be anything that I particularly need. I'm just kind of focused with whatever colors or what have you I have on the mesh itself. And then from there, I think I'm good. I can just go ahead and push bake and wait a minute. Okay, so now we can see that I have got this is my result. It basically unwrapped the cube. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my UV editing tab, and I'm going to select all the faces, and under UV I'm going to mark seams, basically making seams all the way around this so that every face just becomes its own thing. That done, I'm going to go to UV, and I'm going to just do a smart UV project, and I'm going to go ahead and push OK. Usually that works out just fine. So now on the UV side, if I select face select mode, I should be able to grab these faces and grab and move them as I wish. Now I can't see what's going on here, so let's move my windows around a bit. I'm working on a smaller screen here. There we go. Let's change this to viewport shading so I can see the materials and how they're applied. So now I ought to be able to just grab these things, and if I grab these faces, I'm just going to grab them all, and I'm going to G and move them, and oh, well, nothing's happening. Alright, well, let me go back to my shading. And one of the things I need to do is, just because the image exists doesn't mean that it's applied to this. The same material is still applied. So I think what I'll do is just take the image texture, I'm going to move it here, and I'm going to connect it. I will have the color go to the base color. And we will now see that the material is applying differently because this image is actually the thing rather than the material I had originally created. So what I can now do is go to UV editing. So now back in my UV side, I can go ahead and I can grab all these items. I can do as I will with them. In this case, I'm just going to scale them down all together. And maybe I will grab them and move them right here. to get whatever effect it is I'm going for.